We are making people take action and get some type of result. And that's what people now want.
Meet Nathalie Doremieux, a tech-savvy strategist with a heart for human connection and mind wired for systems, automation, and real client results. In this episode, we talk about practical ways to leverage AI in your business, how to generate leads with podcasting, the future of membership programs in the age of AI, and so much more.
You want to challenge AI. So when it gives you something, you say, okay, now I want you to criticize what you just said. How do we make it better?
Over the past decade, she helped hundreds of coaches, course creators, and membership site owners bring their vision to life, building online programs that don't just look good, but actually move people forward. Her mission? To help business owners grow smarter, leveraging tools like AI and podcasting to generate high-quality leads, increase client success, and scale with intention.
There's a problem? Is there an AI solution for this?
Nathalie, what's the right balance between using AI in our business and that human touch that we crave more and more?
Thing that we're starting to see happening is people being scared of using AI because they are scared that it doesn't feel authentic. They are wonder what people think about them using AI. Are they lazy? Are they just don't want to do the work? And they don't want to sound like robots. So I think to me, the right balance is to really look at AI as a tool to help you solve a particular problem. So whether this is I'm struggling to be consistent in something, is there a tool in AI that can help me be more consistent? If I'm struggling when I'm writing because I'm running, I can't come up with ideas, can I use AI to do that? So it's not AI to replace us, it's AI to help us in the places where we need a little bit of help, either for consistency or gaining time. And I think the key as well is to be really open, how you use AI. I just saw a poll, I think that was yesterday on LinkedIn, where somebody was asking, like, are you telling people that you're using AI? Like, are you ashamed of it? Are you hiding it? Are you being very open about it? And I'm like, I am on the side of like, just, if people ask, just say, yes, I help AI. But to me, the key is always to start with the human, my ideas, my expertise, use AI as a tool, an accelerator, something that can gives me idea or help me structure my thinking. And then with whatever comes out of this, the human again to really craft it and make it into something that really sound like me. And that's how you're going to use AI and still have something that sounds like you, where you do it ethically. I mean, it's a tool that is here to stay. So if you don't use it, you're going to be missing out, right? So you've got to look at, can you leverage it and still be yourself?
I like this approach, especially because it doesn't remove entirely the human out of the equation. Because some people just outsource everything to AI, either it is writing or other type of activities, and they don't give it a second look because they just approve whatever AI spills out. And often, as we know, is not the best output that we can expect. And that's an interesting poll that you see, because why it's seen as a taboo for so many? Because as you mentioned, it's here. We must embrace it. We must implement it in our business life and so on. Otherwise, we end up into, I don't like the word replaced, but probably we'll end up in some sort of troubles if we are not embracing technology.
Absolutely. I think that seeing it as like being ashamed, like, saying, oh, I don't want to use AI, it's basically this approach of saying, I don't want to do the work anymore. Now there is something that can do it for me. And that's when people see AI as replacement. But what if we start to see AI as a tool, as an amplifier, an accelerator that is our disposal, right? So we can be more of ourselves. But in order to be more of ourselves, to do more, it has to start with us, right? So we have, you have heard about it, I'm sure, the human in the loop, but it's like, it's always human. So it's not a matter of like, I mean, you can choose to not use AI for anything, but you're going to be at a disadvantage because your competition is going to use it, right? And you're never going to be replaced. I mean, anybody that is worried about their job being replaced, learn about AI and the best AI tools for your job so that you can do it better, faster, and you'll still get hired, right? So I think there is this fear around AI. Also, the whole quality of the output. People I've heard people say, being worried about basically the output, like them talking for them. There is no risk of that if you do human AI and human, right? And don't trust AI, don't trust ChatGPT. It's like there are things like it's very wrong. And then you say, no, that's right. And he's going to say, yeah, you're right. Oops. I'm like, no, you don't want to rely on that. But you can use it for the analysis, the analytical piece and the structuring, right? But again, it's going to be as good as the knowledge that you feed it, your expertise, and the context that you have, right? So that's my take on AI.
And you mentioned their context, something that unfortunately it's overly ignore when it comes to inputting the right information to AI, because just asking questions without context or just building some sort of tools that doesn't have the right context obviously won't output the right information to you. And when it comes to context, what people should look out for in order to make sure it fits to AI?
Well, I think like the thing to look at is most people are using AI. A lot of people are using AI like Google, and that's not the way to use it, right? But if you start thinking about it as having a conversation with someone, and the more you're going to tell it about what you're trying to do, what you've tried, things like that, the more it's going to be able to help. So looking at it as a conversation, that's the context. It's like, tell me what it is that you're trying to do, what it is that you've tried, right? The more detail you're going to give, right, the better answer they're going to get. Now, one thing that people don't do as well is you want to challenge AI. So when it gives you something, you say, okay, now I want you to criticize what you just said. How do we make it better? And when you do that, you'll see it's actually going to analyze its thought process. So this is why what I created is good because it does this. These are the area where I could do better. Do you want me to do better, like to try another? And you say yes. And then it's going to give you a new version. And that version is usually so much better than the first one. But people don't go there. They get something and they read it because it knows how to write well, right? So you can read, it reads easily. But reading easily and looking better than what we would have done and spend hours on probably is not enough, right? There is an opportunity to really go even deeper and better. So asking it to criticize its work is really a great way to get like that second version from them that is so much better.
I totally agree with this. And I also like to say that usually AI is a people pleaser. They're always trying to give us what we think we want, but often what we think we want might not be the reality, right? So that's why that second opinion, that second output can be so much better. And especially when you criticize it a bit, because there's like, oh my God, I didn't do the task the right way. Let me reanalyze this. And
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. So but that's a muscle, right? That's something that you need that you see with practice. The problem that we're thinking with all the people that are using AI to create content and post, and people don't even realize that what they're posting with all the emojis and things like that, if this is not how they write, it's not going to work. It makes them feel like, oh, I'm creating a lot of content, but it's content that doesn't resonate with people at all. And I don't think it's because it's written by AI. I think it's because it just doesn't resonate, right? It doesn't sound like them and it's shallow, right? When I see a post and I know it's written by AI, but if it's good or if I know the person, I'll read it anyway. I don't mind because I know she or he weaved it her own thing at the end, and I'm okay with that, right? But people that just never created content and suddenly, there are so many prompts now that help you create a month's worth of content. You plug in a couple of ideas and you get all these things and then you publish it. This content is going nowhere. They just make themselves like feeling busy, but it leads to nowhere. And that's the bad AI that we see and people are complaining about, even in the comments. When you get these comments generated by AI that are like so useless. So that helps no one.
Yeah, it's just adding to the noise, right? And in order to avoid that, how will be the process? If you can make it a bit practical for those watching or listening, let's say they are new to content. They have something to share. They don't know where to start. They know that, as you mentioned, there are all these prompts or tools that help them just churn content out of the gate, but doesn't share anything new. It's just some regurgitating information. How they should personalize that to add that human touch that you mentioned and to be involved in the process.
So if you're using so the key with AI, like I was saying, is like you give it knowledge and context. So the more you're going to share with AI, what is your tone of voice, how you write, what are your values, your mission. So that's something that you can write in a document, right? Save it as a PDF or as a text file, and then upload it. So if you create like a custom GPT, for example, upload it as a file that now it knows that knowledge. Like, this is how I write, these are my values, you can even have, this is my ideal audience, this is what I help them with, right? Then you want to come up with some ideas, some like pillars of content. Again, it depends why you create content. What are you trying to achieve? Usually people want to make money, so get clients. Clients means getting leads, means people actually interacting with them, right? So if that's the reason you're creating content, then looking at what are like 4 or 5 pillars of content that I know my audience is interested in and that I am good at, right? And once you've got those pillars, you can use AI to start creating ideas, around these pillars. And on your side, you have to come up, what is your unique angle? What is your belief around these things and how you do it? And when you can weave the two, then you can start to really create content that really speaks to your audience, sounds like you, and have your values, built into it, which is how people are going to connect with you at the end of the day. So,
Indeed, because we connect to values, we connect to the same beliefs and so on. And I love that you mentioned those because often they're overlooked. And when it comes to connecting with true content, not just putting content out there to showcase, I'm creating content right now, I try to get some leads and so on, but no one resonates. It's maybe because you don't use your own values there. You don't have a voice about staying your ground in what you believe. And even if it's not the general belief that people think, right? Because that's also very important. You don't have to be, I don't know, in the pool of sheep if you want. Like, you want to be the black sheep, the ones that sometimes has a contrarian opinion, but not just for the sake of it, because that also won't shed very good light on you. And once you do all this, so let's say this is the first step, you gather that document, you put all these things inside you have the content pillars and so on. And what would be a simple prompt or a simple question to ask in order to get your first post out there that actually resonates?
so I think that there are like many ways you can approach this, but what I would do is I would also again think in terms of what problem am I trying to solve. The problem I'm trying to solve is I want to get started writing, right? So that can be the start of your prompt. Hey, I'm not writing yet. I want to get started writing on this specific social platform. This is my expertise. I've uploaded a file, my stuff, my tone of voice, right? These are 4, 5 pillars of content that I know I can speak to. Help me get started. Just ask it. Help me get started posting content. Ask me the questions that you need. Ask me more info, like if you need more context. They're probably going to ask something like, do you want to post every day? Do you want to post in writing? Are you going to make videos? Right? Are you going to do like images, carousels, things like that? Like what type? because it needs that kind of context. So you can say, no, I just want to write short posts, but I want to get started and I would like to post once a week or every day, whatever it is. Okay. And you can say, can you help me come up with a plan to make that happen? Because when you think of writing, you have to come up with the ideas, then you have to write, then you have to publish, post, then you have to go back, and when you post, you also have to engage with others if you want to have a chance of getting comments and things like that, right? So it's not posting and then leaving the platform, right? So when you do that, it's going to come up with a plan, and literally it's going to say, okay, Monday you can do this, Tuesday you can do this, and then you can reframe and say, no, that doesn't work. I only want to work on this once a week, and I want to create content for the whole week. Okay, no problem. It's going to create another plan, right? So for people that are wondering, like, what structure, AI can help you with the content, but it can help you with the structure. Now, once you have the structure, you can say, okay, I like that. This is something I can put in my calendar. And usually, what it will say at the end, it will say, do you want to get started with Monday's content? I say, okay, let's get started, right? So, this is basically how I do it, how I structure it. But literally use AI for the strategy on how to make it happen because it
Yeah,
knows.
it's a great thought partner. If you have this back and forth conversation and asking to ask questions back to you, it's so easy to get out of you what basically AI is needed in order to create that content that resonates. And let's take it a step further. So let's say I'm a coach or a consultant that it's already putting out content, it resonates and so on. But there is a missing piece there. It's attracting engagement. People are resonating with that and so on. But I'm not getting any leads. What I'm missing there?
There can be a number of things happening, but one would be, are you talking to your audience? Are you an entertainer? There are people that create a lot of content, gets lots of engagement and comments, but you have no idea what their business is. So you have to weave in your story, you have to educate, you can entertain, but you've got to sell. We are marketers first. So if people don't see you sell, if you're interacting with someone on LinkedIn, but you have no idea what they sell, then there's a problem, right? That's an entertainer. That's not a marketer, right? So if they are not converting into leads and clients, it can be two things. One, you are not selling, you are not asking them to come into your list or to your webinar or to book a call or something like that. That's one. So it's a message problem, right? Or two, you are talking to someone that likes what you post but will never work with you. Wrong audience, wrong offer, right? So, and when we talk about podcasting and sharing podcasts on social, because that's also one thing that we help people with, it's even harder because we don't even know who our audience is on podcast, the listeners, right? So when you're not getting leads, that's because there's a gap between what you're talking about and who your ideal audience is right now, right? So you're not meeting them where they're at, and therefore they're not taking that next step.
Yeah, exactly. And that missing piece, that call to action, it's so often overlooked. Without asking, and we expect that people will come to us without us asking, and they will just, oh, can you help me? But oh, what they're actually doing, because I have no idea. And that's a big red flag. And when it comes to podcasting, because indeed, especially there are so many formats out there. There is interview style podcast like this one. There are solo episodes. There are co-host type of episodes. There are roundtables. There are many others. From your experience of working with clients, which are the hardest if you want to go on a scale to get leads with, and which type of formats are the easiest to get leads out of podcasting?
So for me, what I'm seeing is that the one that is the easiest to get a lead on is when you do a solo episode, right? And this is your expertise, and I'll share with you, why. Or if you're a guest on a podcast that has your audience, right? Where the listeners actually are looking for people like you. Okay. So it's so when we talk about the hosting, if you're a host, right, that's an opportunity for you to share your expertise, share what it is to work with you. Sometimes people bring in past clients. Like I have a client, she did like a 200, it's episode 250, and she brought in 5 or 6 of her clients on the call, on the show, right? So it's a host, one host, but there are like several people that she brought in. And that episode brings a lot of authority because she's got all these people that have worked with her. And from that, she's getting leads, right? Because we're tracking that. So this thing, in order to find out if you're getting leads, you have to track, right? Because a lot of people don't know what their podcast brings to their business. But so if you're a host and if you do that and strategically, the goal of the podcast episode is to teach them something, but for the listener who's ready to take action to say, okay, how do I apply this to me? How is that working for me? And that's where you give them an opportunity to start a conversation with you. We have a product for that. It's called Podcast Lead Flow. And basically, what it does is that it allows you to, with AI, to start an email conversation where you tell them you send them a unique email that is going to tell them how to apply what they learn on the podcast. I didn't say that, like so concise as I wanted to. But basically, the idea is if you're strategic about your content, who it is for, and a clear call to action of what you want them to do next. And the people that are ready and that are looking for that will take the next step.
And for those that are reluctant, they say, "Ah, but this is not just content. It's not enough to port to social media." When you think about it, podcast is a long form type of content, and it's so much easier to build trust. It's the same reason why platforms like YouTube and creators out there are much more easier getting leads out of it, because if you watch a couple of even hours sometimes of a certain person that is solving a certain problem, it's so easy to build that connection and to trust them that, oh, they're actually knowing what they're talking about. And podcast is the same. Like when you sharing like certain solo episodes, sharing about the same thing, solving that problem in different ways, or as you mentioned, like bringing in some former clients that you actually help them and they share their experience, they share what they experience working with you. That's one of the best ways, especially now. So, in speaking of AI, because we are not there yet, but probably will come in a few months or years in which AI will improve the video aspect of it even more than it's now. But until then, at least, like putting yourself on camera, on a mic, and sharing your knowledge is so, so powerful. And I love the guesting part. And I really even say this style of interviewing as a host, you can also get leads. For example, like around 60% of the leads that I get are through this podcast, in which I don't share much about my expertise. But what happens here? I connect with guests. Some of the guests might need my services. Or there's another way around. I build that connection and people refer me and so on. And those are underrated things. But the important part that you mentioned is that ask, that clear call to action, that clear lead magnet or some sort of plug in the episode show notes that people can act right away rather than just, I don't know, trying to find you out where you are on the internet, reaching out to you, sending you a message and get lost in the weeds of it rather than easy way to do it. And can you tell me a bit more about your tool and how you manage to bring that human connection with AI and educate them further in order to turn that listener into a lead?
Yeah, sure. So the way we use AI, because we also, as shared in the intro, I'm also a membership strategist. So I build membership sites and online portal for people, and we integrate AI into it. And our angle, like I shared before, our angle with AI is AI as a tool to solve a problem, as an accelerator and an amplifier. Okay, so here in the AI in the context of podcast, basically what we've identified is that gap between I have a podcast, I have great content, I have listeners, and then I have clients. And when I get a client, sometimes the client is going to say, "Yes, I listened to your podcast." And like you had no idea, right? So there is this gap where we don't know who our listeners are, and we are probably missing out on an opportunity to connect with them earlier, like, and get when the momentum is at its highest, when they're actually listening, right? So again, problem solver. We're like, okay, what can we create to help create that connection, that human connection? We use AI to be more human, basically, so we can focus on making more connection. And basically, the idea was that somebody is going to want to connect with you. You want somebody, okay, your ideal client, your ideal listener, your lead is someone who is interested to potentially work with you, right? That means that they liked what you shared on the podcast and they would be interested in what the next step is. So if you're sharing how to solve a problem, maybe they would love to know what is their next step to solve that thing, right? So what we did is with AI is we created a tool where it takes the episode as the expertise, as the knowledge for AI, right? It's going to extract one, two, three questions that it could ask the listener. The listener is going to answer on a form. And based on that, they're going to receive an email that is unique to them with their next step. So it's the equivalent of having your listener sitting next to you. So it's like, there is the two of us talking here. If there was a listener that is listening right now, is sitting next to us. At the end of the episode, I'm going to ask this person one, two, three questions. And based on that, I'm going to give them a piece of advice. So I'm going to give them a 4-step plan or one thing they can do this week. You know, no matter, it really depends how you want to interact with your audience, right? But the idea is that unique piece. So now they're not getting, by giving you their name and email, they're not getting a lead magnet like everybody gets the same PDF and nobody opens it, right? They get a unique email sent by AI, but that sounds a lot like me, okay? That uses the answers to their questions. So it's relatable. Oh my gosh, she got me. She knows where I'm at. That's the context. The answer to the questions are the context, right? And I am CC'd on the email. So in 2 days, I can respond and say, like, was that helpful? And that's when we start a conversation. So that's how we created this tool that allows you to start a conversation by email, human to human, right? Afterwards, with somebody that's genuinely interested in knowing more about, what you're doing, what you're teaching or working with you.
What I really like about it is the personalization part, because often indeed, most lead magnets are the same thing for everyone. And if you can add this bit of personalization to whatever your lead magnet is, that will actually make them, as you mentioned, get you, understand that, oh, they actually get me. And it's easier for them to reply to that email or to continue the conversation. And you, as a human, jump in and turn that lead into a client. And that's super powerful. And is what I really like about the way your take on it is that you identify this gap, you identify this problem, and you find a solution for it. Because indeed, for a lot of podcasters, this is a pain. Like, they maybe have a lot of listeners, they solve real problems with their content, but they cannot turn that into an actual client. And it's really smart how you went about it. And once they use this tool and they start a conversation, because that's another problem that I need to fix, like how to turn that lead into a client without relying too much on AI.
The AI really shows up to send the email, right? It's going to come up with a unique email based on the content, the answers, and a strong prompt, obviously, that you write. You have to write it's coming up with a prompt that, again, it's human, AI, human. So AI is going to come up with the question and the prompt and the output, but then it's the human. You go back and then you tweak the questions if you want to, right? Because you have your own expertise and it's relying only on the episode, but you know more. So you could tweak that. You can tweak the output as well. You can say, I want a shorter email, I want a longer email, a different format. based on what your people, like to read from you as far as email. But after that, there is no more AI. After that, it's you, right? So your call to action could be book a call. It could be, here is another episode for you to listen to. Here is another resource. It could be, hit reply and tell me more, or tell me, and ask a question. So it's not about selling from that email. It's about building the relationship and the connection. I had a client who was saying she got someone who actually got the email and booked the call. And she said, you know what? I thought, because, we worked a lot on the output of the email because she wanted it a certain way and things like that. And she's like, it's not about the content of the email. To me, the value is that now we're connected. So, of course, the email has value, but it's about people actually raising their hand and saying, hey, I like what you're doing. And now it's for you to do your job, at selling, or, like I say, enrolling people into their own ideas and showing them what is possible, right? And continue to build that trust. So that doesn't mean you're going to sell the second email. It totally depends on what you're selling. If you're selling one-on-one, if you're selling a course, like, or product, whatever that is. But AI really ends there. Then it's human.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the power of a tool like you have of podcast lead flow, that it's starting that conversation and it's personalizing it, and then you can take over and engage and build a relationship before you actually pitch or sell your services, because at the end of the day we need to make sure we can help before we sell. And for those that are in your situation right now, they are guests on a podcast, how will go about it in order to, because you mentioned that's another way to get leads and get clients through podcasting. How do you do it, for example, and how others can leverage guesting in podcasting as well?
I mean, I think the key with guesting in podcasting is really be strategizing about what do you want to get out of the episode. Like, so that is what is going to help you choose what show you want to be on. For me, I want to talk about AI. And right now, what I'm talking about, I'm not hearing other people talking about it this way. I'm talking about, like, people testing so many tools, and, like, they're like, how many AI tools do we have out there? Like, people are just busy playing with tools. I'm not like that. I'm not playing with any of this. I'm just like, I have a problem. Can AI help me solve it? So I have a totally different angle. So anyone that wants to hear it right now, I will talk to them. I'm not really looking at their audience size and things like that, honestly. Because there was one thing I found is a lot of podcasters are after downloads, and because they want to be shown in Apple and Spotify, and that is all great, right? But my friend who has clients signing up from her podcast doesn't have a big audience, but she has a targeted one. She has a really good message, you know, and she has a good follow up, right? So it's not the quantity, it's really the quality. And then it's how you're going to repurpose the guest episode if you do nothing with it, right? It's not like we record, it goes live, and then we go on into our next guest post, right? For me, I'm going to take that recording. You bet I'm going to put podcast leads flow on it. So people will have a form that they can fill out if they want to find out how to use AI ethically, with these things. And then we'll have a conversation by email. And depending on what they're looking for, I might be able to help or not, and I will redirect them to someone, right? I'm going to share it on social media. I'm going to take some clips of this, of things that you've said or I've said, and then I will share it on social with people. And then I will have the link again to the form. So it's having a strategy for when you're guest podcasting. It's like you reverse engineer what it is that I want, right? I want client to get clients. I need leads. To get leads, I need to be going in front of my audience and sharing my message, like what I think, right? So what I think right now with AI, I'm not saying it goes against what some people are saying. I'm just talking about it very differently. There are things that I don't know that a lot of people talk about. Oh, you haven't played with that. You haven't. No, I don't have time to play with AI. I just want to use it strategically when it makes sense for me, right? So that would be my take. It's like Have a strategy on why you want a guest.
Absolutely, because without strategy and without being clear the problem that you want to solve or the outcome that you want out of the episode is so hard. And I like the fact that you mention the aftermath of the recording, because often people go on podcasts and they just expect a miracle to happen. The leads will flood in and people reach out and so on. And that might happen if you end up on Joe Rogan or Diary of a CEO and so on. But let's be real. If you're listening to this podcast, probably the chances of you getting there are slim or maybe are years away. I'm not saying it's impossible because anything is possible. But in order to get something out of it, you need to put in some effort as well, like promoting the episodes, like you mentioned, creating shorts out of it, and having a clear next step. That lead generator, that call to action, that podcast lead flow embedded form there, that it's helping people reach out to you very easily. And I really like the smart approach that you have. It's so obvious that you have experience in tech and you know that there is no problem without solution, and you can also lose a lot of time playing with tools, testing every single AI tool out there. And that can be your strategy. I know people that are like speaking on stages and making a lot of money just by playing with AI tools, but that's their strategy. AI influencers, if you want. But if that's not you, if you want to be smart about it, just like you mentioned, Natalie, find a problem, find a solution to that problem if AI can help with it and implement it, so on. And when it comes to memberships, because you help people as well with building membership and e-learning platforms and so on, how do you look at it from a future perspective? There is still room for it in the age of AI?
So, more than ever. However, the models are shifting. Just like in the e-learning, whether this is online course or memberships. So, when I say membership, I mean subscription, right? Meaning people pay every month to get access to some type of content, support, and accountability, right? And the reason this is here to stay, and it's only going to keep growing, but it probably in a different format than what most people have right now, is that people are done with purchasing content. 2,000, 3,000 euros videos. They are done with that, right? They don't want to consume anymore. They want results. And in order to get results, they have to take action. And to take action, they need accountability, they need interactivity in the programs. So, what we're seeing now in the memberships is not so much like a ton of content, but content, how do you apply it? So, now it's learning, doing, because that's how you get people to take action, to see some type of results, and therefore to stay. Nobody's going to leave a membership if they're getting results, right? So, that's where I see AI going, is less long videos and more exercise interactive, tools. And that's where AI comes in. That's what we've been integrating into, large 7 and 8 figure memberships, is AI tools to solve a problem, right? So for example, say you are in a membership and you want to sell, it's helping you grow your online business, right? And the first thing is you need to come up with your avatar. There is always this avatar exercise that everybody hates, right? You have to give it a name, how old he or she is. Nobody loves that, right? So instead of taking a pen of paper, and sometimes they give you a PDF and you can fill out the blanks, right? What if you had a chat, a bot, right? That is actually going to ask you question, and together you're going to come up with the avatar. It's going to be a lot more fun than having for you to sit around, okay, what books are they reading? Okay. What movies are they watching? Do they have kids? I have no idea, like instead of doing this where some people are tired of doing them because you feel like you're making it up, which you are, then creating a tool to create that. So the way we use AI inside this program, and this is what is happening right now. I'm not talking about the future, it's happening right now. It's you identify places where people have to do something and there is some type of resistance. Oh my gosh, I need to create my avatar. Some people gonna do it very quickly, they know it, they've done it before, and some people will be stuck there, right? Okay, can I create an AI tool to help them? So that's one way. Another way to use an AI tool is as role play, right? So if the membership is teaching you to have conversations by email or in the DMs, well, let's have a bot where you can do role play and you can have different levels. Okay, let's do an easy role play, somebody that's really nice to me. Let's do somebody that is going to have all these objections. And let's do one that is actually pretty harsh and nasty. Like you get to try. What is this doing? It's building people's confidence, right? They are learning by doing, right? So, and they're more likely to go on to the next step and therefore get the result, right? So we're building confidence. We're making people actually take action and get some type of result. And that's what people now want. They want more interactivity. They also want to see that they are making progress. So you need to show them in the membership, this is what you came for. This is what you've achieved so far, because we are so focused on what is the next thing and what we want that we don't take the time to look back and say, okay, you've been thinking about this for 2 years now. In just 2 weeks, this is where we're at already, right? So these are all things that are going to make people stay, give you great testimonial, great case study. They're going to talk about it, to others. So and they're not going to leave your membership. So you're going to have more successful program by integrating AI to accelerate their results. That's what I mean by accelerating their results, right? Is these tools that help them, make a decision, write that first email. I have one, for example, I created. So when I first started this for me last year, I created this tool. So we were on the program and they had to write so they had to so the course is called, it's not available anymore, but it's called First Members, and it's to get people their first member in their membership. And one of the exercise was to create an email that I call a hand raiser. So they start sharing what their idea is. I'm thinking about, are you interested in it? You don't say when, what price, what it is exactly, but like, is that something of interest? Some people would write the email and some people would get stuck. Like, oh, I don't know what to write. So you can give them a swap file, but then everybody writes the same thing. So what I did is we created this tool where we ask them key questions. Why do you want to do this in the first place? What kind of vibe do you want to create? Is that going to be like a hub with a lot of people? Is it going to be more like a safe space? So we ask all these questions that are not like the technical questions, but more like the deep down with the emotions in it, right? And based on that, we came up with a draft. And already it sounded so much like them. So there was human, they answered the question. There was AI to come up with the draft. And then there is human again. Okay, now that you have this draft, don't send it that way. Make it your own. It sounds already so much like them that doing that work is a lot easier for them now, right? Because they just have to tweak it. They are not starting from scratch. And that's when you get people waiting for like weeks to send the email to just getting it done in a couple of days.
Yeah, I love how practical these examples that you share are.
That's the practical way I use AI. No other way. It's just like that. There's a problem. Is there an AI solution for this? And that's what we do for people. When people are saying people are not completing my course, they are getting stuck and things like that. Okay, let's identify that stuck. Why are they getting stuck? Is there something we can do about it? And sometimes it's the lesson itself that needs to be broken down because it's too much. But sometimes there is a tool, there is a prompt that we can give them. There is a chat bot that we can give them where they can have that conversation with your content to build their confidence and make a decision so they can move forward.
Absolutely. And I also believe the same, that this is the future in which we embrace all the things like the information itself, the human touch in which you are involved in the process, and the tool that helps them solve that particular step in the program or whatever the service that you're offering is, rather than just putting another course out there that is just some recordings, some checklists, some forms to complete, and so on. By you being involved, by using technology to help them solve the things that did not not necessarily need your help, that's powerful because you have higher conversions, completion rates, better testimonials, as you mentioned, and most importantly, they'll get results. They will just be there for the sake of it to finish another program or to start, but you actually make them solve that problem. And indeed, those type of approaches won't die, but unfortunately, those that just puts another, oh, here are 20 hours of video content that solves this problem, those people don't buy anymore. And even if they buy, probably because of the name of the seller and so on, but they will complete it, probably 2% of them.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So that's, to me, that's the AI angle that is going to be, that is here to stay, and that is only going to grow. Now, there's one piece that I don't like with AI. I can tell you, it's the video. Like, I've seen people, like even people I know, and that was like already months ago, where she posted this video and there was something off. I was like, and asked her, I say, this is off. Like, is this you or is this AI? And I was like, no, AI cannot be that good. That was like months ago. And she's like, no, it's AI. I say, well, no, that doesn't speak to me. There's something off. Like, you're human, but you're not really human. And it's like, after a while, when you start looking, you see that they always make the same movements. And the eyes in the eyes, like, that's just not it. So I'm like, no. Like, that's where we get an opportunity to get back time and be human, is to create those real videos. The other creepy ones, I don't know if you saw that, is like when you can bring back dead people and make them move. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's creepy. That's like, no way. So, like human videos, I mean, creating a video that's not me, with people talking and things like that, if it's done well, sure. But don't pretend to be me, ever, or somebody that I know. Like, no, no way. That's where I draw the line.
Yeah, I agree because at least this is the thing that will still be relevant in the future, right? To just be able to create that original version of ourselves, not the AI avatar or and sharing our own ideas. Because if you go on that route on letting AI create the prompts, the scripts, the video itself, where we are, right? Like what we are doing here that builds that trust and connection with the. We obviously saw that, oh, this person is something doesn't connect with me because it's so easy. Like the eyes, I think those are powerful because maybe it will get there, like the AI to be so good that can replicate the spark in the reality of the face and so on, but still it'll be something cold behind the screen. It won't be a real human that express emotions, different mimics of the face.
Yeah. I mean, like if you were making it like cartoon style and I would speak, then probably I wouldn't mind because you're not pretending to be. But it's like the pretending, like the human version, like, absolutely not. And unfortunately, we see more and more of them. And when I see it, I kind of tell, and I'm not even listening. I'm just trying to see and verify, see if I see things with. Unfortunately, it's there. It's going to be more and more. And, like, even all the videos you see, like, you basically can't trust anything that you see on video anymore. You can't. That's sad, but that's the truth, right? You can't. So, this is our opportunity to stay human and to stand around these kind of videos. I don't want to pretend to be skinnier, younger, and people like make all this stuff like that. To me, that's the AI that I don't like, that I don't want to even engage with.
I agree.
So,
And the beautiful part is that this podcast episode is real. We are humans. You're not AI avatars. And for other humans that want to get in touch with you and work with you, please tell them where to find you.
sure. So they can go to themembershiplab.com if they're interested about, like, if they have an online course or a membership interested about how to take it next level, make it more actionable for people. And then if you want to check out the podcast, it's podcastleadflow.com. That's the podcasting tool. I'm definitely going to create one and share it with you, with that episode. So you'll get a chance to see, what that looks like, Gabe. And you can find me on LinkedIn otherwise. That's where I am most of the time. My name, if you can spell it.
Yes, of course. And there'll be anyway links down below. So please check the links from Natalie down below. And I'd like to conclude with a small challenge for those listening. So you have to create a challenge for them they can apply in less than 1 week to take one annoying problem they're currently facing and turn that into an AI solution. What will be the steps for them?
Okay. So, I mean, step number one is identify the problem. Like, what is one thing? Two, go to ChatGPT and tell them what is the problem. Tell them what you've tried in the past. Tell them why it hasn't worked. And ask it to give you 10 ideas on how to solve it, right? And then from there, from the answers, see if there are any that you basically like. And so if you like number two, you could say, okay, let's take number two, let's dive deeper. Ask me more questions. Tell it, ask me more questions for more context on how I can apply this. It's going to say, sure, blah, 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 right? And that's how you get started. Also tell it like when you want to solve the problem, like is that going to be a 3 months project to solve that thing, or do you want a solution today?
Nice. I love this challenge. And if you're listening or watching, please do it and let us know in the comments how that went. Because I'm sure if you follow Natalie's advice and follow that process, you'll get to a solution. Thank you so much, Natalie, for joining us today. It was absolute pleasure to have you and you sharing your knowledge and insights. It's something that we need to listen and apply because AI is here to stay and it's only getting better.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Gabe.
My pleasure.